Hi, my name is Sergeant Jim Wagner, and I'm a law enforcement officer in Southern California. What I'm going to show you today on this videotape are knife disarms. Now, unfortunately, in traditional martial arts and in many martial arts schools, the things that are being taught are impractical, if not outright dangerous. Now, I'm not knocking the traditional martial arts because that's my foundation. However, traditionally, an instructor will tell you, come at me this way, come at me that way. And anyone can look good and look prepared for an attack. However, in real life, a real knife attack is so rapid that it would be a miracle if you get a hold of the weapon. It'd be a miracle if you could disarm the person. Now, although this is knife disarms, it's kind of a misnomer, because in reality, you're not trying to take the knife away from the person. You're trying to control that person until you can escape and get away. I'm going to cover the basics in this course, and you're going to see that it's very simple. The first move is based on human instincts. The next two moves are based on your training, because you're going to have to go into the next step, and it's a logical sequence. And the last one is based on human instinct as well, and I'll go through all that with you. The main thing that I'd like to press upon you is the fact that this is reality-based training. It's unpredictable, just like a real fight would be. I've been in many knife situations where I've had people at gunpoint, and I've also been in situations, too, that I can think of off the top of my head, where at close distance, the suspect wanted to kill me. There's no time to go for my gun, there's no time for punches, and even if I were to punch, what kind of effect does a punch have against someone who's trying to put a piece of cold steel in you? This whole video is to help you survive in real knife attacks, to control the person and immediately get away from them. And just like in my other videos where I teach you to do the knife avoidance exercise, it's the same thing with this. Ultimately, you want to escape from that knife to avoid further injuries. So let's get into the class material, and you follow along with this, and hopefully you can implement it in your own training.
Hi, my name's Jeff Clancy. I'm a federal law enforcement officer with over 17 years of law enforcement experience. During that time, I've been involved in teaching defensive tactics to agents from my agency as well as other agencies. I've been involved in a number of different martial arts to include Filipino weaponry, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and Jeet Kune Do concepts. What you're going to see here today is a departure from some of the traditional systems and into the more reality-based training that's currently taking place. You're not going to see traditional block and strike, disarm the weapon, or anything like that. Everything is going to be spontaneous, it's going to be live, and it's going to be based on unrehearsed scenarios. I'll be assisting Jim Wagner in the production of this video. Thank you.
Okay, the first thing we need to do before we practice knife disarms is to establish a position where you're not going to move around. How we do it is we lay some electrical tape on the studio floor simulating a corner. And because this is a corner, I cannot move out of it. I'm going to stay still and pretend that there's actually walls behind me. Okay, now that we have the corner established, what I'm going to do is have my partner attack me with a knife attack as fast or as hard as he wants. I'm not going to limit him in any way. But first of all, I want to test him. So I tell him, come at me any way you want, full contact, full speed. Okay, you want to make sure that your partner is indeed going to go for a stab. You actually want it to make contact. You want that thing to hurt if it does touch you. That's the only way you're going to learn. Plus, I'm not going to tell him what angle I want. I'm not going to tell him how fast, how slow. Just tell your partner, come at me the best you can to kill me. Okay, now that you know that your partner is going to attack you with full speed and full contact, now we're going to actually start the lesson. I'm going to let him attack me any angle he wants, as fast as he wants, and whether he comes in multiple times or one time makes absolutely no difference. So I prepare, and once he sees that I'm prepared, he goes for the attack. Okay, now, you see the way he came in fast and retracted. That's the way many people are going to do it. Come in slow. You're not going to have time for a fancy move like you see in most martial arts studios or even in a lot of military and police training. Many times the instructor will say, come at me with a number 1 angle. So he comes at me, I block, I hit, I come in, I trap. As you can see from his demonstration, there is no time to react. There is no time to do anything fancy. Again, we keep playing with it. Now I let him come in at me again. Any angle he wants, as fast as he wants. Okay? You can see there's just enough time to block. I'll try another one. Just enough time to block. Now, this time he's going to come at me multiple times. He's going to try to stab me multiple times. Because ultimately, that's what a bad guy is going to try to do to you. So I get prepared, I get ready, and now you just try to get me multiple times. Okay, now, here's what happened. Some of the attacks I might miss. He is going so fast, he's trying to kill me, that I might get stabbed once or twice. If you think you're going to not get cut, you know, you have another thing coming, because in a knife attack, you're going to get cut. However, I do the blend, well, he'll go slow. I'll do my best to try to block it, because he's moving fast. I can't grab onto it. If I try to punch or I try to kick while he's stabbing, I'm going to get killed. So, I'm in a corner here. I have no chance. My best option is to just keep blocking until I finally get a hold of this arm. Once I do, that's step 1. Step 1 is grab. And like I said, it may not be the first one, it may not be the second one, but eventually I have to gain control of this arm. Now, we'll try it again. And this time, he's going to have a different attack. Maybe he's even going to change his grip, so you can change your grip to maybe an ice pick grip. So I stand here, I get prepared. I have no idea what he's going to do. Then he comes at me. Okay, now, the second move is close. Close the gap. Now in this case, when he came at me, I tried to grab him here, but of course, this is the way I ended up. You have to go with whatever you end up with. It'd be nice if I could change positions, but that's not real life. If I try to change positions, he's going to rip this out and I'm going to be stabbed. So, I ended up grabbing him, and this is the way I did. Once I grab him, I close the gap. Why do I want to close the gap? Because he has two options. He's either going to try to retreat to get away, so he needs space to fight me, or he's going to try to push me backwards, and then he's going to try to stab me with this knife. By moving in on him, I do not give him the opportunity to use that movement to stab me. Now, it's true that I'm running into this knife. I could get cut, I could even get punctured. I run that risk. However, I try my best to keep the blade to the side of my body. If I do get cut, it's only superficial. If I do get stabbed, the angle is not going to be the such where I'm actually driving it inside myself. I will move in on this. Now, the point is, even if I do get cut or I do get stabbed, it's not with his full force. It's just going to nick me, or it's going to take a piece of flesh out of me, but it's not with his full force, which could be killing force. Alright, so again, I let him come at me any which way he wants. I don't know what he's going to throw. He can change grips. He can even change hands if he wants to. It's good for him because he learns to attack different ways with different angles. So now I get prepared. He just tries to kill me. Okay, again, when I grabbed him, I was able to block the first couple that came in. At least it didn't get me. I used knife avoidance exercise. Now, however, when I came for the disarm, I finally grabbed a hold of him. Now, I closed the gap. Once I close the gap, what's this next move? The next move is what we call a takedown. Now from here, I could end up running him forward and going for a sweep. I could end up turning and trying to take him to the ground. I can use a number of things, but the main point is, once I'm close to his body, I control him with my shoulders, I control him with my body, and I'm in a good fighting position. We've covered the first three moves of a knife disarm. Grab, close the distance, and take down. And again, you take him down the best you can. It may not necessarily mean you take him all the way to the ground, although that's the objective. Just getting the person off balance or up against the wall is good enough, because the next step, the fourth and final step, is to escape. I am not going to wrestle with this person who has a knife. Or even if he drops it and we're both on the ground and it's in close proximity, I still will not fight him. The chances of him picking that up or the chances of me getting stabbed while I'm wrestling him are very great. I've seen many officers get stabbed this way during training when they try to wrestle the person. First of all, wrestling in the force continuum is controlling force. If he's got a knife, he has lethal force. So him using lethal force against my controlling force is way out of whack. So the main thing I need to do is, once I take him down or once I get him off balance, is to get away from him. However I can do that, stepping over him, jumping over him, pushing him out of the way, I need to get away from him. So now we're going to take it from the top, and I'm going to go through all four techniques. And again, I do not know what he's going to do. I have no idea. Will I get stabbed? Will I get cut? I don't know. I'm already planning on getting hurt in my mind. But the main thing is, in my mind, I'm planning on surviving. And I'm planning on carrying it all the way through. So, I get ready, and when Jeff's ready, he goes for it. Okay. Now, when I say escape, it's going to obviously mean different things to different people. If you're a police officer or military police officer or a military personnel on a peacekeeping mission, you're going to end up backing off and escaping from this person. How many steps is going to determine obviously on the environment, but right now there's a wall to my back, so I can't go too much farther. So, once you back out, as you're still fleeing, your weapon is going to come out. Now, depending on his proximity, if he's close to me and he's on hot pursuit, I'm obviously not going to hold my gun out and let him grab it. I will end up keeping one hand out and, of course, doing some point shooting right from the hip. This is also a gun retention where I keep my elbow tight to my ribs, so if he does get close, he's not going to be grabbing my gun. And I'm going to pump some rounds into him if he's still pursuing his attack against me with a deadly weapon. Now, if you're a civilian and you finally were able to escape and he's still in hot pursuit, you basically have no choice other than to deflect the weapon, which we cover in our other videos, or if he's coming in, you may be able to kick, you may be able to block and go for an eye gouge. It's going to depend on that situation. However, again, I'm not going to prolong this combat. I'm going to hit and I'm going to run. And I'm going to escape until I am finally at a safe distance. What's a safe distance? It's going to be at least over 21 feet or 7 meters. Put your hands up. Put your hands up. Okay, now that I've explained the different steps, grab, close, take down, and escape, now I'm going to show Jeff here how to do it, and we're going to go over it just like I would any other student. Now, although he's a martial arts instructor and an instructor for combatives, this is his first time doing this technique, grab, close, take down, and escape. So I'm going to work with him as if I'm working with any other student, and you're going to see that within a relatively short time, within a few tries, he's going to get the hang of it, and he's also going to be able to apply this in a very effective manner. So, again, he gives me the knife, the rigid knife, and now we're just going to start off with some basic hits. I'm not going to do anything crazy, but I will try to hit him and I will try to hurt him with this. Not where I'm going to break ribs or something, but to where it's going to smart and leave a bruise. Now, I'm going to come in on you, and I'm just going to come in one at a time and then retract. You do the best you can to try to grab a hold of my wrist. Okay, good. Now we start over again. And, you know, we're just trying to get the first element down here, which is grab. And of course, he automatically went into close, which is perfectly fine. But we're going to try this a few times until we get the hang of it, and then eventually put it all together. So now I'm going to try some different angles, but I'm going to come in hard. All right, good. Now, you can see, with Jeff, years of martial arts experience, you can still get cut, but the main purpose is don't get killed, don't get something severe that's going to incapacitate you. So we're going to keep working on it. Now this time, Jeff is going to grab, close, and now go for the third step, takedown. So when he gets this, we have no idea. One more time. Don't leave that corner. Okay, so you can see that after a few times, it is possible to get me down, and it is possible to grab the weapon. Now obviously, I'm more skilled than a lot of people out there. However, how much skill does it take for anyone to pump this knife into somebody? You got to remember, everybody is an expert with a knife. It doesn't matter if you're an 8-year-old child, a housewife, or a businessman with a pocket knife. Do these people know how to use knives? Yes, they do. Ever since a child knows how much force it takes to cut meat. A child or anybody knows how much force it takes to stab something and stick the meat into their mouth. We grow up with this. The difference is, not everybody is a knife expert, knife fighting expert. And so, anybody can do this. And although I'm skilled, a person who has very little training can do just as much damage. That's why we're sticking with simple concepts. Grab, close, take down, escape. We'll try it one more time. Now, when I come in to attack Jeff, he is not going to grab the blade. Although some people do, obviously you're not going to be able to in real life. The goal is to grasp the hand as it comes in, the weapon hand. I might come in a different way, he grabs it the best he can. Now, not every grab's going to be perfect. You're doing the best you can. You got to remember, this is spontaneous, it's fast. Now, by controlling the weapon hand, you're going to be able to control the body. Okay? So when I come in fast, he's just going to grab the best he can. Again, it's not going to be perfect, but he's going to do the best he can. Alright? So you can see where we're going with this, and that's a natural instinct of a human being. Alright? If I throw something at somebody hard, his hands are going to come up, he's going to try to grab it. That's human instinct. That's the good thing about this system, is the very first move when someone comes in for a knife attack, you're going with human instinct. Human instinct is to back off if someone's charging you. And if someone's throwing a knife your direction, you're going to put the hands up and try to stop it. So, unlike the traditional martial arts that tells you to step in when an attack is imminent, block, hit, takedown, or he comes in, you know, block, grab, an Aikido move. In real life, you're not going to have a chance to do this. That hand is moving so fast. Just like you would not step in front of a moving truck that was coming your way, you're going to back off and get your hands up. That's human instinct. Don't go against human instinct. It's just not going to work. That's why we can repeatedly in these classes, over and over, stab people even with martial arts practice because they're relying on something that's against their human instincts. So again, the first instinct is to just get away from the weapon. Next is the last one, which is escape. If you're in a bad situation, human instinct tells you to escape, tells you to run away. Now obviously, once he comes in for the attack and he tries to attack me and I grab, what an easy concept. I just grab the weapon hand. Now training has to kick in, and once I have that hand, my mind's going to tell me, what do I do with it? That's when your training kicks in, you step in, you close the gap, you take down. Those are the two things. And then you're back to instinct again. So that's the beauty of this technique, is two of them rely on instinct, which happen to be the very first move and the very last move, and the other two relies upon your training. Now we're going to take this whole knife disarm thing to the next level, and that is to have a barricade behind you. The good thing is many police departments, military facilities, and martial arts schools have mats on hand. And what we've created was a typical corner of a wall where now you have no choice, nowhere to move. With the yellow line, or any kind of line on the floor, that's good for your first practice to get the concept and everything. But now we want to make sure you have nowhere to escape. And a setup like this is perfect. Now, if you have to use a wall, by all means, use a wall. That's even better. But a lot of times in different facilities, the corner's cluttered up with things. So this you can place anywhere you wish. Now, we're going to show you some examples of some police constables in the London Metropolitan Police doing this very exercise against the wall. Now, even though we're doing this with plastic knives and rubber knives, this can still be a very dangerous training situation because with a rigid knife, one of these get inside of your eye, it's going to definitely do some damage, could even put it out. So whenever you're doing this, when you're building up the speed to full contact, I always recommend using goggles. Goggles are going to save your eyes from any damage, and it's going to be safer, and plus, you actually want face shots to be part of this. It does you no good simply to train for chest shots, and what's a bad guy going to do? He's going to hit you in the face, he's going to hit you in the groin, he's going to hit you wherever he wants. So this is going to protect you for the more realistic training. And again, the whole key to any kind of training is reality-based training. Now we're ready to do the exercise. I'm going to get up right up against the corner, just as I would if I were pinned in this situation in a real life scenario. And Jeff's going to come up to me, he's going to go for it, and we're going to go from start to finish as if this is a real attack. Again, I might get hit, I might get cut, but my focus is the end result. The end result is me escaping and doing what I can to prevent this guy from giving me further injuries or reduce the injuries that I might sustain. So Jeff's going to come in, and he's got me up against the corner, and he just goes for a full-on attack. Now you can see from that example that anything can happen in training. In fact, when Jeff came after me, what did I do? I slammed him right into this fictitious wall, and he went up against it. That's one reason why we're using the mats, because it's a nice, safe thing to go against. You can imagine, had we been training on a concrete wall or a dry wall, he could end up going through it. So, if you are practicing against real walls and you're going full speed, full contact, then I recommend putting on a Protect helmet for the attacker. These are found in any sporting goods stores, and it's very inexpensive, used for skateboarders. But it's also a helmet that Even you'll see Navy SEALs personnel wear when they're doing, example, GoPlat training or gas and oil platform takedowns, ship assault. They wear the same things to protect their head. It's also a good idea in training. Now, there is a time to also train for these kind of scenarios where you're doing a knife disarm in special operations type training. Just because you have a MP5, which this is a rubber one, and just because you are training with red guns or a safe gun does not mean that you'll never get in this kind of situation in real life. You could end up in a malfunction situation, and next thing you know, a guy's on top of you with a knife, and you will have to go to a knife disarm. So I highly recommend that you do this exercise to with your training weapons, your sub gun and your pistol, or maybe if you're a sniper, a long gun and your position has been compromised, whatever the situation may be. You have to also think about malfunctions, and if this sub gun malfunctions and I got someone on me with a knife, my first option may not be going for a gun, but because of the time I get for my secondary weapon, this guy may be on me, stabbing me multiple times. This exercise is also good to perform because if you do ever have a malfunction, then automatically you'll go to your secondary weapon and not even think about it. Many tactical officers don't train enough going to their secondary weapon. So we're going to show this exercise, a typical knife disarm, using all of our SWAT gear. We're going to simulate now a situation where a tactical officer could end up with this kind of knife. So the first thing is I bring in Jeff at a close distance, and he comes in up to me. Now, when he comes in for the attack, my obvious goal, if I were in this situation for real, would probably put a few rounds into him with my MP5. However, I'm going to experience a malfunction. It's not firing. I don't have time to clear this weapon. In fact, I don't even have time to go for a secondary weapon. He's going to be on top of me too fast. So, I'll do the best I can, and I'll block for the first couple. But if I see that I'm in trouble and he's on me, then I immediately have to drop my weapon. It's on a sling, go for the disarm, and then after that, escape, and then get to my secondary weapon. In a malfunction with my primary, I won't go back to it at all. So, we're going to simulate this at full speed, full contact, and you'll see also that Jeff has more protective gear on, because if you get hit upside the head with one of these rubber MP5s, or whatever you use, an M4, you're going to end up getting somebody hurt. So this will reduce the injuries, especially to the arms and the hands. So here we go. I'm going to see him charging me. It could be any kind of bedroom, bathroom situation, whatever, and I'll take a few rounds at him. Go! Boom, 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 boom. Okay, you can see from that last example that you can throw in a knife disarm in almost any kind of scenario. You're only limited by your imagination. You can set up situations for undercover officers, for gang officers, for regular patrol, or just being a citizen, walking up to an ATM machine and somebody not only wants to rob you at knife point, but wants to stab you to get rid of you as a witness. This is a very simple concept. Grab, close, take down, and escape. There's nothing more to it. It's all human nature for the first one, human instinct for the first and last, training in the middle. If you do this and you practice it often, you will probably survive a real situation. I can't guarantee that you will, because you're already at a 90% disadvantage when someone has a knife and you don't. The main thing is you got to practice this, implement it into your training from time to time, and you'll see a big difference from doing this disarm method as to oppose the old traditional ways.
Bye.